Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Sitole and I'm a researcher with Intellidex. Welcome to the fourth installment of our webinar series. We bring you key lessons from successful entrepreneurs on how to build high-growth businesses in South Africa. We started this series on the 2nd of September. I hope you agree that it has been an eye-opening series so far. This webinar is part of the launch of the research report produced by Intellidex and funded by E-Squared Investments. The report is available on our website, as well as recordings of our past webinars that include Kagisho Mahura of Gradish Mahura Investments and Antoine Palisao of FinChatBot. The report followed 5 themes, which formed part of our conceptual framework. First off is the individual. We asked the entrepreneur about their individual journeys towards entrepreneurship and which attributes are most important for success. Secondly is the social context. How the founders' networks, including family, friends, and the general community, contribute to success. Followed by the business. Which of the 5 key components of a business did the entrepreneur get right? These include timing, team, idea, business model, and funding. Followed by the industry. How did the founder navigate industry dynamics, competition, and stakeholder involvement in advancing their business? Lastly, the economy. Did the economy in any way influence the start of their entrepreneurial journey? By way of background, I'd like to ask Cheryl Jacob from E-Squared Investments to share some of the thinking behind commissioning this research. Over to you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Timothy. So welcome everyone who's in the room. I think just as a context and a background, we want to let you know that this particular research, which is understanding South African startups, the insights and advice from successful entrepreneurs, was commissioned by us. And it was insights gathered from 25 high-impact South African businesses who collectively created 350,000 jobs. So maybe let me just tell you a little bit about who we are as E-Squared. So we're an impact investor that was founded in 2007 as a long-term empowerment strategy. We are the empowerment partner to Alan Gray and hold a significant stake in the investment manager. Together with other Alan Gray philanthropies, our mission is to attack poverty and change the unemployment landscape in South Africa. And we achieve this primarily through provision of our patient capital to entrepreneurial opportunities founded or managed by Alan Gray Fellows. So that's really what we do. And the reason why we really wanted this particular research to be commissioned is, as impact investors, we knew that we needed to understand what were the factors that led to high impact entrepreneurs finding success across South Africa. In terms of this research, we had some input in terms of the sample group, and what we wanted to focus on was on businesses who were in the growth phase, who were listed or had some private equity funding or investment that enabled their growth. Included in that, we really wanted to find failed businesses, but unfortunately, it was not easy for us to track down failed businesses or their founders who were openly wanting to speak about it. And so with that, this particular research has been launched, and it is the insights and findings that was really relevant to us. And we think it will be really relevant to the community in which we operate, which is the entrepreneurial community. And so with that, we hope that this following session is going to be able to give you some insight. It's going to spark conversation. It's going to motivate you towards action. And more than anything, allow you to intentionally use these insights and findings to intentionally do your work so that we can harness the amazing entrepreneurial talents that we have in South Africa. And so with that, I'm going to hand back over to Timothy, and I wish you well. I thank you so much for joining us, and let's unpack the following parts of the series. Timothy?
Thank you very much, Cheryl, and for joining us today. Today's guest, Dene, is a self-taught entrepreneur that has been recognized as one of Avance Media's 100 most influential young South Africans for 2019 because of his Life Skills Academy, Pride Factor. Pride Factor aims to inspire and guide youth to overcome the issues of unemployment and inequality. Dene launched Pride Factor 6 years ago while involved in the Success Summit industry, where middle-aged executives are inspired, shown how to solve their problems and to achieve success. He has previous experience in entertainment, coaching, and emceeing large events. Today's session is pre-recorded, which means we'll now switch on to the video that me and Dean had sometime last week. Please enjoy, and I will see you at the end of the video. Entrepreneurs that we interviewed. And with that out of the way, so can we get through to some questions so that our audience will be able to know a bit more about you and what you do in your business?
Sure.
Our first question is, you highlighted the importance of the need to teach children skills that they are not taught in school. What have you seen to be the most important of confidence and emotional intelligence in kids growing up to be successful people, not just in business, but being successful people overall?
Timothy, it's a great question. Thank you very much for that. The world has changed very much so in the last couple of months, but also over the last decade, if not 2 decades. Young people nowadays, the change, the curve of change is a lot more steepened than it was possibly when I was youngster. When I was a youngster, maybe not so much yourself because you still look rather young. But when I was a youngster, a lot of people jump into a career, maybe change their career 2, 3 times in their life and move forward. Statistically, at the moment, the average young adult will change their career up to 5 times in their life. So what that means is that they're going to go through a lot of changes, and at the same time, at some point, they're probably going to have to deal with failure. Now, when it comes to confidence and emotional intelligence, dealing with failure is one of the hardest and most observed qualities that is out there. How do you deal with something not really going your way? Yeah. Certainly in a country where, I hate to say it, but entitlement can be rife, and it is quite a common word. So the dealing with confidence in EQ needs to be structured, and we actually structure it into like a tree approach. We break it down into 4 simple segments, one being the roots and the foundation as to your morals, your mindset, your physiology, your psychology. Then you've got the trunk, which is your physical appearance. It's how people see you. It's how you are represented on social media, etc., how people know you to be. Then you've got the branches, which are the opportunities that you can reach out to the stars in this way and that way. And they grow and they strengthen, and some break off, etc. And then you've got the leaves, and the leaves are the seasonal change product. They will fall off, they will change. So how do we adapt to change? So between the confidence and the EQ, it is absolutely fundamentally paramount in teaching teenagers and young adults about confidence and EQ, and equipping them with these skills in order to be successful human beings, not just entrepreneurs.
I think that is quite important. And if you remember from our last conversation, I actually said something similar to you, that I also struggled very much when I was growing up to have those skills. But now that I'm in the position that I'm at, I feel like it's one of the most important skills to have, and I'm glad that I've acquired that. And what you're doing, contributing to some of these kids that necessarily don't have these things at a young age, is of paramount importance. So
precisely.
Big ups to you for that. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And our next question is, what pressing advice do you have for entrepreneurs on the need to do what they love?
Again, great question. A little bit of a tricky one. Advice for entrepreneurs that need to do what they want to do and love. I mean, the good old saying, the feel-good saying goes, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. True. I agree with that, but I also disagree with that. Also, a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs because instead of working 40 hours for someone else, 40 hours a week for someone else, they'd rather work 80 hours a week for themselves. So I just find it in the sense that if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, it usually means that you found a passion. You found something that you thoroughly enjoy. And if you thoroughly enjoy something and you become extremely good at it, then the third part of the puzzle would be to turn that into your lifestyle and your career. And that's what we try and inspire young people to. Find your passion, become extremely good at it, turn it into your lifestyle and career. And if you have a passion for cooking, music, IT, teaching, anything like that, it doesn't so much feel like a job or a business. It feels like you are just working every day on your passion. But obviously we need to make money at the same time and empower other people at the same time. So I think at the moment, it's a very interesting question, because after the whole lockdown that we've been going through and are currently still experiencing, I think I may have answered this question differently, possibly a year ago. There's a balance between working your passion and being able to fund it. And at the moment, the latter is a lot more difficult. So if I've got any advice for you right now, it would be keep pushing. This too shall pass. We are starting to see some glimmers of light at the end of the tunnel. So now is not the time to open up the gap and take your foot off the gas. Now is the time to really knuckle down, focus, and push through this last part of the race.
And I remember when we were still doing the research, when we were interviewing you and other entrepreneurs who were slowly getting into COVID before they had lockdown in South Africa. And one of the questions that we asked you was, how likely are you to survive as a business? How are you responding to those things? And basically now for the people that feel they've been done over by COVID, how have you structured your business to still keep on going and pursuing your goals and ambitions as an entrepreneur?
I think diversification has been a major focal point for the business in Pride Factor. We have had the fortune of doing a pre-launch in the UK last year, and we've been chatting a lot to some organizations in India, in Vietnam, and the USA at the same time. So we've kind of taken quite a jump towards our global footprint. However, again, proudly South African, and certainly maintaining our footprint exactly where we are here in South Africa. So the adaptation that we've taken obviously is focused a lot more digitally. But what we are finding a bit of a battle with is that I've always learned that you need to educate your audience. And with some of let's call them speed bumps, they're not brick walls, speed bumps that we've got with data being so expensive, a lot of our youngsters not having access to Wi-Fi, obviously because they're not at universities or allowed in public places. Some of them don't have devices. And of course, with the load shedding at the same time, connecting with our audience, even though you want to educate them, connecting with them has been our trickiest part. So that is still, as I say, it's not an obstacle, it's not a brick wall, it's a speed bump that kind of keeps rearing up that we're facing on the daily.
No, I understand. I think that is very important. It's not a brick wall, it's just a speed bump. Keep on going.
It's just a speed bump.
I love that. And what skills and attributes do you think a person needs to be successful? Obviously, looking at you and how you managed to get successful and to be where you are today.
Well, thank you for that, and I really appreciate the compliment. Well, I'm going to go on what we teach, okay? Pride Factor, we teach it in the sense of the word pride, all right? When you get to the end of your life, you want to look back on your life with a sense of pride. There's nothing better than your father when you're younger, or your mother, your wife or partner now, or your child as you get older saying, I'm so proud of you. So we've actually taken the word pride and broken it down, and we break it down to P-R-I-D-E. P stands for prosperity. You've got to aim for prosperity. What is prosperity? It's your version of success. So do you want to be the Fortune 500 company owner? Do you want to own a super yacht? Do you want to have a big family? Do you want to live on a farm with no connectivity for the rest of your life? What is your version of prosperity is what should be the aim. R stands for respect and responsibility. We all want to be respected. How do you get respect? Well, you show respect. And of course, as soon as you become an adult, you are responsible for your own life, your thoughts, your body shape, your financial situation, everything in between, you are responsible. I stands for improvement, constantly being improving. So to all the audience that are watching this right now, congratulations, you are busy improving yourself, you're upskilling your knowledge. And I think that's something that the lockdown has provided us all with an opportunity to do, is allow us a little bit more time. Be it cooking, be it learning a musical instrument, being learning a new language, just constantly improving, listening to podcasts, watching webinars. D stands for direction. What are you going to do next? It's always a good idea to have a plan. So what are you going to do tomorrow? You should plan about today. What are you going to do next year? You should think about this year. And then E stands for energy. Everything is energy. What you put in is what you're going to get out. So we're not saying work hard, but we are saying work smart, and have a positive approach about it. And you'll find that the positivity kind of shines back. So that's our PRIDE, our pride factor.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I'm glad that you've went into it and simplified it for people, because I also didn't have that knowledge before, but now that it is there, I feel like, yeah, that is something that I can also live by. And I feel what's also important about this report that we made and these webinars that we're making, we understand, especially in the South African context, we want to push people to have the entrepreneurship spirit. There's a lack of jobs, there's a lack of everything. So everybody needs to be hands up, but some of the things that you're teaching are for the normal person, even in your job, even in whatever that you do, whether it's a farmer, as you mentioned, you need to have those qualities. You need to be that person, because at the end of the day, what you put in is what is going to get out to the world, and what are you trying to put in is going to show what type of person you are. And I'm literally amazed by what you do, and I really love it, and I have to commend you for that. I think that is just one thing on top of my mind. And I just want you to tell people how your background as a coach and MC and being in the entertainment industry for a while helped you become the person that you are today.
Sure, I could go on for ages on this one, but I certainly won't. I think my entrepreneurial journey it's kind of a culmination of everything I've done in my life. From the age of 12, I started making a little bit of money from gardening and acting and things like that. Now surfing, and I enjoyed making money. I enjoyed the responsibility that came with it and the freedom that came with it. I moved to England at a very young age, and she dropped out of school, and I'm now a university lecturer. So there's an oxymoron and something rather interesting at the same time. But I think when I got to England, I tried my hand at everything. I went from door-to-door sales to sweeping streets to becoming a bouncer at a nightclub. I'm a qualified real estate agent, a driving instructor, surf coach, a lifeguard, barman, waiter, restaurant owner, restaurant manager. I've just tried everything. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through that journey of just, wait, I want to try. No, that doesn't work. How about no, that doesn't work. And we kind of bounce around a little bit, and that's culmination eventually solidifies in something. And it did for me on a beach in Newquay in Cornwall in 2001, when I was coaching a bunch of kids surfing. And I just found my absolute passion for working with teenagers and with students and young adults. I didn't really realize it at the time, but about 7 years later, I was working in the Success Summit industry. I was teaching people how to trade foreign exchange. I was standing on stage for 4 hours of every day, talking to tens and hundreds of people, showing them how to trade the Forex market. And the penny just dropped one day. I had this euphoric moment where I saw, it was Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, standing on stage at the Santa Convention Center. And he had about 4,000 people in front of him. And no offense to anyone, but I started seeing the people in the room going, well, you seem a little bit old to now start wanting to change your entire life. It's full of 50, 60, 70-year-old men and women looking to now want to change their lives. And I felt like the guy on stage was a little bit old school. And the idea came, what if this room was filled with young, energetic teenagers and young adults hungry for knowledge and information? And therefore the guy on stage could make it a lot cooler, a lot more interactive, a lot more musically edutainment, TED Talks, prizes and gifts, awards. And the idea for Pride Factor was born. As I said, that's now nearly 7 years ago, and we've run 130 events in 19 cities, 3 countries, and worked with roughly 57 or 58,000 people. So again, it was never just I've made a decision to do something. It was an ongoing process before it became, okay, this is what I want to do. So that's the long way of answering your question. Sorry, Timothy, is that I feel a lot of people sit there and go, okay, well, I need to come up with an idea, and that then makes me an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We kind of look at it the other way around, where you need to solve a problem. And if you can solve a problem, and obviously monetize it and financially benefit from it. But that's when you become an entrepreneur. And South Africa at the moment, well, there's a lot of problems. So we need to put our thinking caps on and start finding the solutions, and then let the entrepreneurial spirit grow, and then start impacting more and more of our citizens around the country.
Amazing. And I just want to touch a bit on what you said. Obviously, your experiences in all these different industries, you've surely met a whole lot of people, and it is through that you came up with this idea for Pride Factor to impact a whole lot of these kids. And would you say there were a few people, a handful of people in your life when you were growing up that were giving you the same advice as you're trying to give to these kids, these teenagers and young adults right now to amass their own success?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Too many to mention. You know, there are so many people that I've gained inspiration from, just an idea, or maybe someone said a key phrase that's just stuck with me. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate. Someone said something to them 10 years ago that they just can't get out of their minds. Probably my biggest would actually be my father, Paul Botha. He's been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember, and he works with me on Pride Factor. He's our admin and finance guru. He sits behind the computer and sorts out all of our books. I get the credit for everything, but he's one of the hardest workers in the team, without a doubt. Yeah. And then another gentleman by the name of Greg Secker. He's a mentor at first and an employer, and now he's become a shareholder and a business partner and one of my very best friends. And a long time ago, he gave me some opportunities, and I couldn't be more grateful to him for it. So, and again, I could go on for days on people that have helped. But again, I think there's just those little pearls of wisdom that we take with us along the way. And I think it's vitally important to all entrepreneurs out there to not shut anyone down, but to listen to what people are saying. Again, all we're trying to do is find solutions for problems.
No, I hear you. And I'm sure this journey had its challenges. How did you deal with failure, setbacks from the past when you're starting out to even now? Because I'm sure failure is something that happens whether you're starting, whether in the middle, even when they're at the absolute top. Failure is always there, but how do you deal with those complexities? What do you say to yourself when you see that something is happening and this needs to be dealt with fast? How do you get yourself into the zone that I can actually get out of this?
Go into the corner of my room and have a good cry like everyone else. No, it's tricky. I think people draw different inspiration and different little power pockets of dealing with failure and setbacks from many, many different sources. I myself really enjoy nature, being outside. I surf and I walk up mountains and hike and climb, spend a lot of time with I was just about to say fiance, but we got married a month ago. So my wife, we like to, thank you very much. I draw some inspiration from that. I think everyone needs to know when to turn off a little bit. And if the failures or the setbacks keep coming, don't react. Try and calm yourself and more respond to it. But also, it's really not a bad time at the moment because everyone seems to be so hungry for business and so hungry for look after me. And I'm getting more emails, I'm sure everyone else is, than ever before, offering opportunities. But, they want a piece of you. So when those setbacks arise, it's not a bad idea to just take half an hour to yourself, breathe a little bit, take a walk outside. We live in one of the most beautiful countries on earth. There's no doubt. The people are amazing. And I think we need to relish in that a little bit more. At the moment, everyone kind of seems to be waking up at 6:30 and they're on their laptop or on their phone within 15 minutes. Yeah. I think we need a little bit more time to ourselves, a little bit of yoga, a little bit of meditation, drink some lemon water in the morning, read, focus, don't jump straight into the laptop and try and solve everyone's problems. But other failures and other setbacks, it's the mindset. Again, that's what we try and teach with the tree approach, is understand that failure is going to be a part of your life. Yeah. So you need to learn how to adapt to it and how to get through it. So my personal way, get outside, breathe, spend some time in the sun, spend some time walking around in nature, go for a surf if you can. Yeah. relax.
And of course, we just touched a bit that you just got married and your father works with you in the business, but how are those people generally in being supportive? Because, you know, we say, or you usually say it takes a village to raise someone. So how was your community, or how has your community enabled your success? That will include your family, your friends, and basically all your social influences. How have they contributed to the person that you are today?
Again, I think I'm much like many other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. We seem to try and find the opportunity in everything and anything. So, I mean, I went out for dinner last night at a place in Sandton called Pulpetta, amazing place, with a group of friends that I went on a wellness retreat with a year ago. And while we're talking about our personal lives, I'm jumping onto a little opportunity. This one owns a restaurant. I'm like, well, we do staff training and da-da-da. This one wants to set up a wellness retreat. I'm like, well, I've got contacts that are in there. We're constantly networking and looking for opportunities. And I think that's come to ask any of my friends, my wife and my father. You know, we'll sit there and have a braai on a Saturday afternoon and, you know, just talk about something, but some way, shape or form, it will go down the path of, okay, so how can we better that? Or what's the opportunity in this aspect? Or is there a solution that we haven't thought about to that problem? It's just a constant, you know, and again, I'm sure there are a couple of entrepreneurs watching this going, I can relate to that. We're just constantly seeking it. So with every friend that I've got, you know, we'll chat for 15 or 20 minutes, but I can tell you it's going to go into business probably within half an hour. We're going to be talking about how we can assist one another. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I quite enjoy it. I really do. I think if you're an entrepreneur, it is a 24-hour-a-day thing. It's just all day.
So you need to be mentally prepared for those type of things. And
yeah, I would say so, yes.
So would you say that that's what keeps you going? Actually, that was my question, but I feel like we've touched on it a lot during our conversation. But is that what you say keeps you going as a person?
Yes and no. I think what keeps me going is the youth of this country. And I know that sounds like quite a diplomatic statement, but it really, really does. Yeah. Aside from my beautiful wife and my fantastically supportive family, my mother and my father, who I'm very grateful to, you know, still have around, and my wonderful friends, etc., and extended family, the youth of this country, Timothy, and abroad as well, are the energy that's coming out of these young people at the moment is just phenomenal. You know, we're running these digital workshops nearly every afternoon. We started off with one every 2 weeks. We're currently on like 2 a day. And the testimonials and the feedback and the input and the, you know, can I get more? And the Q&A session that's only meant to be 10 minutes. It's always 45 minutes is just, it's invigorating. It's wonderful to see these young, hungry, dedicated, aspirational kids. Some people don't want it, and that's fine. They don't have to have it. There's nothing wrong with that. But the ones that do want it, it's empowering to know that these guys are going to be the future leaders of this country. And to that, I applaud them, and it does. I think that is my and our, as Pride Factors, driving force. Every now and again, we're kind of sitting there going, I don't know what to do. And then we'll run a workshop or we'll run a live event in the good old days, like 2019. And we get off of stage or we close up the event and we just look at each other and we're like, that's why we do what we do. That's exactly why this needs to continue. Okay, let's cut the stops and let's carry on moving forward. So to all the young people out there, keep it up, guys. You're doing a fantastic job. You make us you empower us to empower you. So well done.
No, thank you very much, Dene. And as we've reached the end of our discussion, I'd just like to thank you for taking the time today, talking to me. I'm sure the people that will get to see this will really appreciate it, as I always appreciate talking to you. And because obviously today is a pre-recorded event, there won't be any you as our amazing entrepreneur today on what you can give to them and what they can get from Pride Factor if they come find you.
Well, firstly, I'd just like to say thank you to you, Timothy, yet again, a wonderfully orchestrated and facilitated interview. You are a you are extremely good at what you do, sir. So kudos to you. A very big thank you, obviously, to Intellidex and Dr. Alan W.B. Gray, the late, and of course, E Squared Investments for the opportunity. I think this kind of stuff is vitally important, and I'm honored to be sharing this platform with some of the names that
Thank you very much for all of you for joining us today. I'd like to thank the teams at E Squared and Intellidex for their hard work on the report and our interview series. Join us next week at the same time as we chat to IDF Capital's Paulo Radebe. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.